Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. EQNext Nostalgia here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Landmark going free to play. I am here to warn people not to get into this game, not to give Daybreak Games any of their money. Do not buy any microtransactions. Do not support products from this company. Now, in order for you to fully understand where I'm coming from, you need to understand what has transpired here over the past 3 years. When Landmark was first announced, everybody was really hyped about it. It was something that we had just seen the presentation for EverQuest and Dave Georgeson did a fantastic job with that presentation. To this day, I still hold that as one of the best presentations I've ever seen. They sold us on a dream, and they did a phenomenal job with just illustrations, okay? It was just amazing. And Jeremy Soule came out, and they shared some of the music that was going to be in the game, and it was full steam ahead. Everybody was hyped. Everybody hopped over, and they supported Landmark because they wanted the funds to go to EverQuest. They bought into Landmark because they wanted to support EverQuest. Let's be honest, that's what 90% of us or more did. And I've heard the debate before, oh, well, you bought into the game and you got the game, you got what you paid for. No, I really don't think that's the case, because this was marketed, it was bottled and sold as a promise of what was going to come. And a lot of people wanted to see, what is EverQuest going to look like? And they wanted to get into the game world and run around and see an example of what that was going to look like, because Landmark was kind of the foundation of that, and it was sold as the foundation of EverQuest. And at this time, EverQuest was something that was in development previously and was canceled. So people were hyped about EverQuest for a few years before Landmark even came on the scene. So this is something that was building up for years. Ultimate hype train. Fast forward a little bit, and Sony Online Entertainment is acquired by Columbus Nova, who then changes the name of the studio to Daybreak Games. At this point, people were concerned because Columbus Nova had apparently been noted as one of those studios, or one of those companies rather, who buys up properties and pretty much destroys them, sells them off for whatever they can sell them off just to make a profit. They don't give a shit about the legacy of EverQuest. They don't give a shit about the legacy of any SOE product or IP at all. So at that point, people that were really down to earth, they knew that we were in trouble. I consider myself to be a glass half full kind of guy for the most part, and I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. However, once key members of the staff started to get terminated, at that point, that's when I became concerned. Now, Daybreak had a roundtable discussion. I may or may not be able to find that and put some of that up on the screen for you guys, where they wanted to address our concerns. Everybody was concerned because Dave Georgeson was fired, the guy who sold us on this. Okay, and several other key staff members were let go, people who had worked for SOE for years. So when they were terminated, it ruffled some feathers, and it was a serious concern. Well, they had a roundtable discussion where they wanted to put all of our concerns to rest. You could see on their faces that what they were saying, their eyes were telling a different story. At that point, that's when I knew we were fucked. Now, to be fair to the remaining staff, I'm pretty certain they were obligated to say whatever their employer told them to say. They were most likely under some sort of NDA or some sort of contract. I don't know. In order to keep their jobs, I'm sure they had to sign something, and they had to go along with the charade. But at that point, everybody in that fucking room knew that it was over. You could see it on their face. They were telling us one thing, and as I stated, their eyes were saying the complete opposite. And they really didn't look like they were trying to hide that at all. It's like they knew that some of us would pick up on that vibe, and it was like looking at a funeral. Everybody in there was stone-faced, and they looked like they had just lost their best friend. It was at this point where my videos started to take more of a negative tone. Before, I was very optimistic and very hopeful for the future. I started asking some tough questions, and I started wondering how come we weren't seeing anything. What is really going on with EverQuest? Now, as a side rant, I had been posting my videos to the EQNext subreddit for years, since the beginning, since we first heard about this game. And I noticed an interesting phenomenon that started to happen over there. It went from a very outgoing community, a very mature community where people were sharing ideas, bouncing ideas off of each other. You could share your content over there and you were guaranteed a great discussion. And it slowly started to turn into a toxic cesspool. And my videos, my more negative videos, were not well received. Nobody wanted to hear the truth. Nobody wanted to see the writing on the wall. And it just became incredibly toxic over there, to the point where even the admins themselves began to attack me and talk trash to me, and eventually ended up banning my account outright. I am not in the habit of making videos that are popular opinion just because they're popular, just for likes, just for views. I keep shit real here, and keeping shit real on that subreddit was not the most popular thing to do. I was completely ousted from that community. And the way that it happened is what really struck me. One of the moderators over there had actually taken the side of somebody who said I was toxic and I was just a piece of shit. And he came along and was like, yeah, he's toxic, he's a piece of shit, I'm gonna ban him. And that's exactly what they did. Now, at that time, I had prepared a video about this to talk about it, to expose what was going on over there with the admins and how everybody was just kind of living in their own little fantasy world. I reviewed the video. I deemed that it was childish and was beneath me, and I did not post it here because I honestly don't like to bring drama to people unless I absolutely have to. It was something that was personal, and I didn't want to look like a whiny little bitch. I kept it to myself, and I moved the fuck on with my life. The only reason why I mention it now is because it's relevant to what has happened to this game and to the community. Some people want to believe what they want to believe so fiercely they will attack anybody who challenges their views. They want to live in their own fucking bubble, and that's exactly what that subreddit did. Well, that subreddit has now shut down and is no longer accepting conversation, which is not surprising because EverQuestNext was abandonware. It was a fucking pipe dream. It did not come true. And, you know, I'm going to be a little arrogant here, and I'm going to say I'm one of the only people who was saying this shit on YouTube, who was getting this information out there and asking, hey, what's going on? How come we haven't seen anything? Because I did that, I caught a lot of shit for it. Quite a bit. I wasn't engaging in the circle jerk that was taking place over there, and I guess that makes me an asshole. Well, if you take a look at what's transpired over the past few months, you can see that I was absolutely correct, and that everybody who was going against what I was saying was obviously either in denial or way more hopeful than I will ever be. I had seen something similar to this happening with a game called H-Hour with a indie studio called SOF Studios, so I had been down this path very recently, and I started to see the signs that I had seen with that game. However, I moved on, and I started just posting other videos about different things to other subreddits, and a couple of the individuals who did not like me over at the EverQuestNext subreddit took it upon themselves to follow me around and continue to downvote everything that I posted and talk shit about everything that I posted, to the point where I actually had to change my username just to try to get rid of these fucking trolls. I don't know what it is with me, but it seems like I have a troll magnet attached to me. I don't quite understand it, but it's not the first time it's happened before. Many of you are aware of the fucking clown that follows me around here and downvotes everything on the first or the end of the month. I haven't seen him in a while, though. He hasn't been around in a while, but I picked him up on the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare forums. So it's something that I have a talent for. I don't know, I don't quite understand it. But nevertheless, I caught a lot of shit saying what I thought was the truth, and, well, what turned out to be the truth. So there's a big fat fucking I told you so for that subreddit. At any rate, that's enough with my personal vendetta. I had to get that off my chest. If you take a look at what's going on with Daybreak Games right now, basically they're doing the microtransaction thing, and they have been for a while. And EverQuestNext has all these micros set up. EverQuest 2 does at this point. And with Landmark, that's exactly what they're going to be doing as well. They're going to unveil this game on the 10th of this month, and they're going to unveil it as a free-to-play game. It only took them fucking 3 years to make this a free-to-play game, okay? They knew a while ago that EverQuestNext was a no-go. Yet they kept this fucking game up and continue to reap the profits from it. Not a big deal, you might say. Well, it's a completely different game, you might say. Well, fuck you, I say, because this game was sold on a fucking promise. And yes, it is up to people to do the research and find out that EverQuest Next was canceled. Fair enough, I'll give you that. But nevertheless, they said this game was going free to play when it was announced. 3 fucking years later, it's finally going free to play. Once they milked it for every dime they could get out of it, once people stopped actually buying it, now they want to pull you in for their microtransactions. And, if you take a look at H1Z1, they've done a lot of shady shit with that game as well. Basically, Daybreak Games is taking all of the intellectual property that SOE had owned, and they're just perverting it for every last fucking dime that they can get out of it. And the best thing I can say to you is don't get caught up in that bullshit. Learn from my mistakes. I've been here following this shit from the beginning. Do not get into this game. If you want to download it because it's free and fuck around with it, whatever, go ahead, feel free. You might have fun with it. Personally, I didn't really have that much fun with it. And now I want to talk about the game on its own merits. The game itself, I think, is beautiful. I love the aesthetics. I always liked the artwork in the game. I thought EverQuest Next looked awesome. Some people did not like the more stylized art. I always enjoyed it. So aesthetically, it's quite pleasing. But the game doesn't run that well. It doesn't appear to be very well optimized. And one of the things that really pisses me off is you will make a claim, and if you don't log in periodically, your claim can be completely wiped. Your template and everything could be saved, but you can end up losing everything because there's just not enough real estate. And when I first got into the game, there was pretty much no decent plot of land anywhere in any of the realms or any of the whatever servers, whatever you want to call it. Everywhere I went, you just couldn't find a decent stake of land that wasn't already claimed. And once I did finally get a piece of land, they had a wipe and everybody had to come back and reclaim everything. I got in there quick enough and found a decent piece of land, but I noticed that they don't really give you that much room to build. Now, evidently you can link together different claims with other people and build off of that, but if you're just playing by yourself and you're not playing with a group of people, you're going to have a very small plot of land. You can build basically just a house. And I have to say, some of the stuff that people have built in this game, some of the things that people have collaborated over in this game, absolutely breathtaking. The tools are very powerful, but at the same time I felt that they were very daunting. And that might just be me, and you might be saying, oh, well, you're fucking stupid if you couldn't figure it out or you lack the patience. You know what? I think it was a lack of patience. Upon looking at the tools, you really have to learn how to use them. And they are very powerful. You can create pretty much anything you can think of in this game, but it's not something like, say, Minecraft. You're not just going to throw down a bunch of stones and start building a house and have something decent looking. It's going to take you a long time. It's quite an investment. You need to learn how to use these tools if you want to be able to compete with some of the absolutely breathtaking things that people build in this game. So I have to give them kudos for that. It is a very powerful editing tool, if you will, for creating whatever you want. However, there isn't really anything else to offer you in this game. The combat is terrible. Crafting things is cool. Yes, you can get some cool looking gear. You can craft some really cool looking swords and staves and whatever. There's all sorts of shit you can craft. Boots that let you fly around and things that let you go faster. And there was all sorts of things that you could craft. But the combat, it's terrible. It's some of the worst I've ever seen. It's just terrible. And it became really monotonous to gather materials because they didn't have just a creative mode where you could create whatever you want. I don't know if they put that into the game yet. I'm going to go take a look. You guys are probably looking at the footage of it now. I'm doing the commentary first. But as far as I know, you have to go out and you have to scrimp and scrape for every little thing that you want. So if you're not grinding for the materials, you're building something, and then that's it. There's nothing else beyond that. And you know what? Some people might say, hey, that's whatever. That's really all you do in Minecraft and building games anyway. If that's okay with you, then you might enjoy this game. But I'm telling you, do not give them any of your money. Now, one thing did happen while I was playing. There were these things called loot caves, and they were a bug. I'm not sure if they got fixed. They probably got patched by now, where you could go down into these caves and basically get whatever you want. That made the grinding a little less monotonous because well, you didn't have to really grind for it anymore. You got drops everywhere you went, and it was one of those things that was bad, but at the same time it was good because it was kind of like creative mode. Just build whatever the hell you want because they gave you tons of resources. But here's the thing, guys, and I really want this to sink into your head. The most fun I had with Landmark was exploiting a bug that was not supposed to exist with other people. That was the height of my experience with Landmark. Yeah, running through loot caves with random people. And I will say the community was really friendly. I didn't ever see anybody arguing in chat. There was never anything negative going on. Everybody seemed really cool. So that's one positive thing I will say about this game. The community at the time was awesome. Is there a community there still? Maybe. There's a few people still there. But for the most part, what's going to happen is when this game launches, there's going to be a rush of everybody who wants to check it out. They're going to check it out. They're going to see how fucking shallow it is, and they're going to move on. So if that's something you want to do, absolutely go ahead. But I will caution you not to give these people any of your money. Because what they're doing is they're just going to exploit this as long as they can, make as much money as they can. They're going to chop it all up into bits and pieces and sell it off. So for all intents and purposes, EverQuest is dead. If you happen to be an EverQuest fan like I was, it's dead. Just like SOCOM is dead. It's just one of those things that sucks, but it fucking happened, and that's all there is to it. And anybody who wants to support someone who comes in and completely kills off the legacy of an amazing franchise, go ahead. If that's what you're into, I would highly caution that you do not do that. I will never support another one of their titles. Ever again. The only way I would ever do that is if they were somehow able to shake off Columbus Nova and strike out on their own and maintain their IP by some miracle, getting the money to get them off their back. I highly doubt that's going to happen. Just know that you're not supporting a developer. You're supporting this fucking corporation that just goes around and sells shit off to the highest bidder. And really, you need to use a little bit of your morals and your better judgment and not support something like that. Gamers should not be supporting this kind of behavior. So there you have it, guys. There is my 3+ year adventure with this absolute fucking train wreck. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to rate it thumbs up. And if you're new here, I ask that you please subscribe. I thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video.